Hello, folks. This is Ron Cross. I think most of you know who I am. Just to recap for those of you who don't know, I'm one of the officers, the top officers for the OKDF, which is the Oklahoma Defense Force. My job is basically I oversee the recruiting and the organizing for the organization. Now, Sean Parrish is the commander. We have a number of people that work with us, some of them military, some of them civilian, don't know a thing about militias and being prepared. So we have a lot of different people within the ranks. Today I want to kind of go over with you some of the basics in recruiting and how to properly do that and get people to listen to you so that you can recruit them. Now, first of all, before I go on, I want to say that you have to understand that even within the military, most of the people are not combatants. Most of those people are there for support. And you have to ask yourself, if something bad happens, what kind of support are you going to have? You're just not going to be able to run and gun. So get that thought out of your head. Second of all, the militia isn't all about running and gunning and combat. What we should be about is our communities. And it's an example of that. During the recent tornadoes that we had here in 2013 in Moore, Oklahoma, the OKDF was boots on the ground, digging through the rubble, conducting search and rescue, right hand in hand with law enforcement. Now that's another thing. We shouldn't be afraid of law enforcement. Many times they may have been told something derogatory or seen something derogatory concerning a militia. You need to be professional. Hence, we wear shirts like this when we deal with the public. We want to look professional, try to be well groomed. We don't want to look like we're mountaineers. If that's what you want to do, and you want to look like the hillbillies, then fine. You're never going to get the professionalism aspect of it, and you're not going to get the respect that you need. There is a reason to look professional, and that is so that people will respect you. There have been studies done into this, and I won't get into them. But in any case, you need to be professional. You need to get out. You need to hold public meetings. And you need to talk about things that are important to people. You need to look at the environment, what's going on in your area. Is there a lot of floods, tornadoes, earthquakes? And you need to form your group around doing things for the community when those disasters strike. And that way, when the time comes, you can activate your group and you folks can actually get out and do something that's positive for the community rather than having folks fear you and being keyboard commandos and hide behind the tree commandos in the woods and nobody knows anything about you. In other words, secret squirrel organizations. It just doesn't cut it. If you don't think that if you are a secret squirrel organization, if you don't think that they don't know who you are, you're kidding yourself. With the technology we have today, we know that emails, phone calls, and all kinds of things are monitored. So I'm sure you've communicated. So yes, they know who you are. So let's get out of being secret squirrels and let's do something professional. So again, we need to look at what can we do to be professional. There's a lot of things that we can do. Image is our number one thing. But also being educated. And again, those of you who've seen my video have seen my notebook that I've put out, and within the notebook contains a lot of information and government documents that can be used to educate people. This is what everyone needs to be doing. You need to educate people, not only the citizens around you, but you need to let law enforcement and others know who you are and show them that there is nothing wrong with being a militia. Now, I understand that some states have laws against being in a militia. First of all, that's unconstitutional. Because it is the Second Amendment, which if you had the type of notes that I have and have done the research, that any law that violates the Constitution is null and void on its face. So it's null and void automatically. Doesn't matter what the state legislators want to do, they cannot override the Constitution. It's one of your rights. But they do it, and they've been doing it. But that's not the point that we're making here. If you find yourself in one of these states where you're not allowed to have a militia, then you should form under some other name, some organization, maybe some sort of support relief group, whatever. But again, it's about being professional. It's about having facts, and it's about dealing with people. Now, one of the things that I do is, again, for those of you that know, over 20 years I've collected these documents. I carry one of these, not only my work vehicle, but my personal vehicle in many regards. And if I get into a conversation with somebody, I can refer back to the facts if I need to. Now, it doesn't matter what I've done. I mean, those of you that know me know that I've done a lot. Not only, again, was I an investigator on the OKC bombing, but I was militia at the time. Again, a leader here in the OKDF. I'm a radio host on New Call Me Network. I work with people like Norm Olson, and there's a whole lot of things that I've done. It doesn't matter. I'm one person. You can do the same thing. However, you have to be professional. So here's what you do. When you go to recruit, you're going to have to do it using some social media. Now, I know a lot of people go, oh no, I'm not going to use Facebook. I'm not going to use anything like that because it's being monitored. Well, as I mentioned earlier, every phone call that you make, there's that potential. If they want to know who you are, they're going to know who you are. So you might as well just be in the public and gain public support. So if anything ever bad happens, that you have their support, you're not out on your own. And you folks need to understand how important support is. If you don't understand, then you need to get with somebody who does, and they can educate you. We'll talk about support in some other video. So again, you got to get out there, you got to be professional. So you use things like Facebook, Twitter, whatever, gun clubs, whatever is available to you to find like-minded people. It's very important that you find like-minded people. Quite often, a lot of our family members don't support what we're doing. But you take a small group of these guys and you get together and you form an organization with a goal in mind. And from there, you can begin to recruit. Now, again, having facts on hand, not conspiracy theories. There's a lot of things that you can talk about. I would implore you to make sure that you have the facts in hand, that if you're going to talk about the United Nations, that you have some of the documents that I have, and I'm not saying you have to get them from me, but do your research. Go to the law library, make copies so that when you talk about it, you don't look like a conspiracy nut. The best thing, in my opinion, that you can do is engage people, but not in a combative manner. I'm going to give you an example of a lot of what I do. For example, if I'm talking, we have a lot of people here in Oklahoma who hunt and fish. So let's say that I run into somebody, even if they're a stranger, maybe I'm at Walmart, whatever. We're looking at firearms, we start talking about ammo. At some point in that conversation, it gives me the opportunity to bring up the Small Arms Treaty and the UN. I listen to what that person says. I may ask them their opinion, and a lot of times you're going to get a varied opinion, and most people, you have to keep in mind, haven't done their research. Now, if you have the information, then you can state fact, whereas most people can only state opinion. So with that said, I will lead the conversation by asking questions, and then maybe they're going to ask me some questions, but I've got that curiosity being built up. Maybe there's something I know that they don't know. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Maybe they know something I don't know. But in any case, I engage them in a conversation. I begin to ask questions. And then it allowed me to lead into the UN and tell them exactly what's going on with the small arms and how we've been sold out through State Department document 7277 and other things. So these are the things that we need to do. Don't argue with people. Engage them, get them involved. And it may not be an overnight process that you win these people over. I mean, if you actually read the Bible, you will see that Jesus couldn't win everybody over. So what makes you think that you're going to do it? You're probably not going to. So you're going to run into different people. Just find out where they're at, the issues that are important to them, and start working with those issues. And in time, maybe you can make these people understand that maybe they need to be involved in a militia group or some type of an organization, not only for themselves, but for their family. And so the organizations need to be built around everyone's family, everybody taking care of everybody. There needs to be a family-like environment. Not everybody's going to qualify to probably be in your organization, so be a bit choosy on some of the people that you take. You don't want extremist people who talk about blowing things up or killing people. You've got to watch out. These are the kind of people that are going to probably get you in trouble. They're going to probably start messing with things they probably shouldn't, and it's going to bring the whole group down. So you need to be careful on who you recruit. And in fact, we actually do background checks on people. And yes, we do have people that are felons, but I'm gonna say this. A lot of people are against having felons in their group. I'm not. I'm going to tell you why. Each of you probably has or knows a story of somebody who was a felon that was in the military. The Title 10 of the USCs is specific. It says all males between the ages of 17 and 70, I believe. It doesn't say whether they're a felon or not. So even if they're a felon, they have a place. Now, if that person's a violent felon, has committed crimes, multiple crimes against humanity and innocent people, then yes, they probably ought to be excluded from your group. But in my opinion, they belong in one of three places. They either belong in jail, they either belong hanging from the end of a rope, or 3 feet or 6 feet under the ground. That's the three places they belong. They shouldn't be turned loose on society. In fact, that's one of the things that I point out through my research in gun control, that quite often that the violent criminals are left to roam the streets. And that comes out of congressional record. January the 3rd of, I believe it is, or January the 5th of 1985. So you can look that up for yourself. Again, educate people. Get to the issues. Get them involved. It may be a process that you have to talk to these people for a period of time. But the important thing is get out and do something. Talk to people. Don't sit behind your keyboard and pound away. You've got to get out. You've got to meet new people. And go to gun shows. Meet people there. If you have those in your state. If you have a shooting ranges are great places to meet people. In fact, we use a shooting range to conduct our monthly meetings, so maybe you should try the same thing. Find out where you can go to a restaurant, for example, and put it out in Facebook. I'll give you an example. We started out with about 20 people at our first meeting with the OKDF. Now today we have about a third of those people left, give or take. But you know, you're going to win some people, you're going to lose them over time. It just happens. It happens in every organization. Doesn't matter whether it's a church, your job, or some sort of prepper survival militia group. You're going to have people come, you're going to have them go. That's the way it is in life. But get out into the public and begin to work with these people and have these meetings and educate them. Get them materials like this. Find out what people know. Find out what their skill sets are. Make it public knowledge. You may suffer some backlash, but at least you're doing something. Don't let your fear control you. If you don't think they already know who you are, you're fooling yourself. So you might as well do something. When you get enough people, it's kind of like watching one ant in the whole hive. There's no telling how many ants or bees are in one, but it's the same concept. So, get people involved. Try to find people that are like-minded and supportive. And again, engage people, but not in a confrontational way. And this is the number one method that I use when I recruit. When we bring people on board, we begin to recruit them. We find out if they've got military experience or are they a farmer. It doesn't matter. There's a place for these people. They can provide. Find out what they're capable of doing and use them. Let them help the organization. And they need to understand. And one of the principles that I use in the OKDF is that the OKDF is not about me. It's not about you. It's about all of us. And there's been numerous times where we've all pulled together to help out members of the OKDF. So if you want to build a good group, really what you have to do is it's really simple. First of all, you need to be public. And that means go to gun rallies and things. In fact, I hijacked a gun rally back in February, and it was in the newspapers and different things. So I've had my name in the newspapers and media exposure. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. But you need to get out there. You need to make yourself public. And what you need to do is it's real simple. One, you educate people. You talk about what's going on. And again, not the conspiracy theories because it was a tornado and more, and then within a week later there was one in El Reno that they used HARP to create those tornadoes. Now, could that have happened? Hey, it's possible. I've looked into some of the research. It may have been what happened. I don't know. I don't know that much about HARP. But what I do know is that we had 2 tornadoes. So I'm not going to talk about those. What I am going to talk about is I'm going to talk about what we did. So we got out and we did something. We became proactive and we helped our community. So don't talk about conspiracy theories. Talk about facts. Have the facts in hand. You can talk about maybe what the UN is planning through the Small Arms Treaty. 20 years ago, folks had no idea. I knew it then. I've got the research to prove it. I tried to tell people. I was laughed at. Now I'm right. So talk about things that you can educate people with, that the resources are available, and it's provable. And once you do that, you educate people, you can recruit them. And once you recruit them, you can organize. And once you organize them, then you can move to action. What do I mean move to action? What I'm talking about is getting out and doing things in your community, making a difference like we did. And as you begin to do that, and you're professional, and you look professional, and you talk professional, and you are professional, then doorways are going to begin to open. And you're going to find yourself doing a whole lot more. But until you do that, you are not going to grow. As long as you're sitting there behind your keyboard, pounding away, mad at the government, and you're not getting out and doing these things, you're not going to go anywhere. If you don't have a group within your area, or can't find one, start one. You don't have to be the best. All it takes is a couple of people, and you find somebody who's able to get out and do the public speaking and lead meetings. If you need help, contact us. The OKDF is willing to help people. We've helped people in many states. We've made a big difference. Again, I've worked on Charles Dyer's case with him. I'm not going to say the man was innocent or guilty. What I will say is I don't believe he got a fair trial. If you look up the name Joyce Gilchrist, you'll see a little bit about Oklahoma justice. So don't know if the man's innocent or guilty again. I don't believe he did it personally from the evidence. But again, I know what can happen. I've worked with Jim Tresman, who is the lawyer in New York. I provided him research that he used to fight the anti-gunners. Again, I'm doing radio shows. I'm doing my part. Now, I'm not saying that I'm any kind of a hero. There are people like Rick Light who are doing their thing down in Texas and organizing people in the state of Texas and working with their law enforcement. In fact, the militia is actually providing training for some law enforcement. So if that scares you, I'm sorry. We don't need to be villains. And the only way that we're not going to be villains or make people afraid of us is let them see us in the light. Let them see the good things that we do. And this is what each and every one of you need to do. So again, it's real simple. Get out, hold meetings, educate people. Education is the key to everything. So if you can educate people, you can recruit them, you can organize them. And again, then you're able to get out and you're able to do things like tornado relief. Does that mean that you're going to be the experts at it? No. Everything is a try and fail type error. You're gonna make mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You'll learn from them and you grow. We've certainly had ours. You'll have yours. Work with other groups. Learn to make contacts with people all around your state and around the country. Utilize them as resources. Let them utilize you as a resource. And as you begin to do this, you'll begin to recruit, and it will pull people in. We grew the OKDF to about 350 people in a year. We lost some, and we gained some. Now, what we do is we continue forward. You have to realize it's going to happen. So, again, educate, get out there, recruit, and organize people. Those are the keys. Now, there is a process to it all. It's not as easy as said in some regards. It takes a little bit of work. It takes people working together. But if you'll do those things, you'll begin to grow, and before you know it, you'll have a good, viable organization where the members are dependent upon one another. And not only are they dependent upon one another and can call on the organization for help, but you're going to be able to help your community. You're going to be able to get out there and educate the public as to what a militia should be doing. That's all I've got to say. If you've got any comments or you have questions, you know how to contact me. You can email me, but listen to my show on New Colony Network on Sunday nights concerning the militia. We'll talk about a lot of different things. But once you do organize your militia, you have to train, get people familiar with their equipment. God bless you, and thank you.